Hello, friends. Hi. Uh, I'm on my lonesome today, and I'm playing with a lightsaber because my guest busted out a lightsaber, and I asked my wife to run and find our lightsaber. So I wasn't the only one there with one. Anyway, welcome to Dragonmount, where we do not nerd nonsense, mostly focus around the Wheel of Time. Right now, we on our Monday live streams we rewatch television shows. To remind everybody, we started doing it with the Wheel of Time, but I definitely enjoyed it. But I got a message from somebody about thoroughly enjoying it and it feeling like watching TV on the couch with their friends, and that they didn't have nerds to do it with where they lived. So I was like, well, looks like I'll be doing this forever, and we continued doing it with different shows. That's why we're on Avatar: The Last Airbender right now. But we only have like 4 or 5 episodes left, I think. I'm confused only because some of the episodes are 2 parts. So I think we have 4 episodes of our show left for book 3. And 2 of the episodes, one is a double episode. It's like 45 minutes. And then the final episode is an hour and a half. So it's going to be probably our longest stream for this yet. Other than a couple of the other ones where we went off on tangents. But other than that, we do a lot of Wheel of Time content. I go to a lot of conventions, and when the ones that they let me record at, we put the panels up on the YouTube page, and book reviews for Tor Books, because Tor is one of our lovely sponsors. We're going to be putting a poll up soon for our next show to watch. So if anyone has any ideas for the next show we should watch, post them in chat, at them at us on our social medias, and we'll consider them for the poll that we'll put up on social media when we're ready to vote on our new show. Social media only allows us to list 4 options, but we'd love to consider at least some of them, the ones that, you guys want us to watch and want to watch with us, because, obviously we want it to be entertaining for y'all. Anywho, since I'm all by my lonesome today, I did have one friend that was willing to join me, but unless Crystal can make it later, and that is, yay, my Luna cam. Hello, Luna. That's Luna. I moved the camera so that you could see his face. He's hanging out on my desk. That's like just past my computer monitor on my desk in his little house that he sits in. And I put the camera in a dish because I'm bad at this. Anyway, that's our Luna cam. He's with me today, but I do have our fantastic guest who apparently disappeared from backstage. So when he comes back in, I'll bring him in. But there he is. Hold on one second. Look, here comes an awesome guest. Oh, you found you see your lightsaber is cooler because I don't have my my blade in.
I just wanted to make some kind of a funny appearance, so.
But wait, where's the purple blade?
Oh wait, hold on.
Blue. See, mine doesn't just change color though like that. Yours is much cooler. Yeah, purple blade.
There's like a deeper purple somewhere in here. Hold on.
I liked that purple. Yeah, there you go. That's like a violet. That's nice. That's cool.
Yeah.
See, but I get these cool crystals that come with mine. There's the black crystal.
Oh, you got the black one. Nice.
Oh yeah. This is the Disney saber. This is my lightsaber hilt that I built at Disney. I liked the more natural pieces. That's why I got like leather, and this looks like wood, and I think this was labeled as a rancor tooth, which was great.
Yeah, I saw that. I was thinking about those, and
What's
I was
up?
thinking.
Is this L like L from JordanCon? That was your student that came with you to JordanCon?
It is L. I sent it to L to see if they wanted to hang out. So,
hi L, I remember you, and I asked every time I talk to Sargon, I say if he sees you to say hi, because I had fun hanging out with you.
And Thom is the person who remembers these things.
Funny enough, actually. So hold on, let me see. I haven't done it in a while. Let me see if I can do it. Yeah, I can still do it.
Oh my god.
Unreal. When I was my wife and I went to Disney, and Chewbacca was walking around, and I did that to him, and he came over to me, and I wish it's cool. Obviously, the person in the costume wasn't doing it. He had like a recording, but he had like a bunch of recordings, and he was talking back at me with the recordings, and we were there for like 2 minutes straight, just talking to each other in Wookiee, which was fantastic.
Oh, that's great.
Oh shit! Now I feel extra special. Elle is favoring us over Celebrity Jeopardy. What's up, Arosa? What's going on?
Oh man, we're doing our best.
But Crystal may be able to join us later. So the entire country, I think, has been having crazy rain, but she flooded recently. So like her internet went out, and now she's dealing with that. But she said it might be back according to Google Fiber. That's who she's been on the phone with. So she may be able to pop in at some point during the show. But I want to tell everybody where we know you, why you're here. So I met you, I don't remember how many years ago at this point, like 10 maybe?
Yeah, probably. I'd say so.
Yeah, something like that. But you came to JordanCon because you're, first of all, a giant nerd. I mean, there's that. But you're a historian, a teacher, a professor, an anthrozoologist, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. I come prepared. I remember these things. I did check the last time that you submitted a bio to the JordanCon page. I still have like my spreadsheets from when I was doing the guest stuff. So I was like, he has another title. I can't remember what it is. But why don't you tell us, like, you know, what's your nerd card? Why did you go to JordanCon? Like, why are you here talking to us right now?
So, well, first of all, thanks for having me here, Thom. It's always great to be here. I'm super excited. That's a great question, Aaron. I love any chance to nerd out with you, to geek out with you anyway. So this is always awesome.
Always. But I like your company.
Yeah. And I'm happy that Elle could come on. That's awesome. And yay. Aaron's here. So what is it that I do, and how did I get into this? Oh, so my running joke is I was a terrible, I feel bad saying this, I was a terrible reader. Most people tell me the opposite. And they're like, oh my God, I've been consuming these books since I was, you know.
When you say these books?
Wheel of Time.
Wheel of Time, yeah. I mean,
that's how I, got into.
I would say 90% of our watchers are Wheel of Time fans.
Yeah. So I would say, certainly with Wheel of Time, but with any fantasy, it took me. Let me preface all this by saying, when I was in 9th grade, I was asked to write a book report. I don't remember what the book was, but I was asked to write a book report. Oh, it was choose whatever book you wish to use for outside reading and write a book report on it. Something very basic. And so I brought in a book report, and the teacher called me aside and said, you can't do this. You need to be updating your reading. And I said, well, why? What's the problem? And I remember the teacher specifically looking at me and saying, Berenstain Bears are not appropriate for a 9th grader.
Wait. Okay, hold on. Is it Berenstein or Berenstein?
Oh God, this is one of those.
No. I know it's not a real thing. It's just fun.
But yeah, I remember that sort of that moment where I thought, yeah, I guess I need to start doing more reading. I was just one of those kids who was always outside. I was outside playing all the time, playing in the dirt, playing in the brook close to my house. And we were doing a lot of sports and stuff like that. So I didn't think of it. And I think because more people tried to push me into reading, I didn't want to do it. And of course, in true, my type fashion, I was told I had to read, I think it was Of Mice and Men. No, it was.
I did. I was not a fan of Mice and Men.
Yeah, it was one of, or Grapes of Wrath. And at some point I was like, I can't do Steinbeck. And so what I did was I went to the store, and I went to the nearest mall. And I remember going into the mall. I happened to be there with a friend of mine who I played soccer with. And I went to the bookstore, and something caught my attention. And there was a picture of a book. There was a book with the front cover, and the front cover had this really cool dragon. I remember thinking to myself how much I enjoyed fantasy in general, right? Like I wanted to read more books about dragons. I know that sounds cliche, but I picked it up, and it was Margaret Weiss and Tracy Hickman's Dragons of Autumn Twilight.
Okay.
So I said, all right, interesting. I started reading it, and I started reading and reading and reading. And then I went to this place like down the street from my house, well, next town over. It was called Infinity Books. And I went in there, and I went and picked up more and more of these books. And I just kept consuming them and consuming them. And I'd go sit in my English class where they would be reading, you know, Steinbeck or Charles Dickens. And I would pull this out, and my teacher would come over and go, you know why you're not doing well in this class? And I would say, that's not really fair, you know, that I'm reading. You should just be happy that I'm reading.
Exactly.
So, sorry, my light clock goes off when something goes near it.
You're good.
So then, and then I was like, I never looked back, and I just kept consuming and consuming.
That's true, Noman Garden.
Yeah, that's so true. When malls had bookstores, oh my God. There hasn't been a mall with a bookstore in years, I'm sure.
I know.
But it was, you know, and what I loved about, I just have to throw this kind of weird, not that Infinity Books even like exists anymore, but this little pitch for them. It also got me super connected to, which everyone kind of cracks up about, but I love it, is when I walked in, they had a little TV, and the TV had like a VCR built into it. Of course. And they had the Yanni live at the Acropolis.
Oh my God.
Video playing. And I was like, oh my God, this with like the crystals they had in the store plus the books. I was like, whatever this is, I want to be there. And so a lot of, like when I listened to particular Yanni CDs, so I started buying Yanni CDs. And so there are particular Yanni CDs that I would put on and then read Wheel of Time. So
that's it. Okay, now I got to try that. That's
it's amazing. And there's one song, I think it's called Quiet Man. I'm lying. I know it's called Quiet Man. It's the
you just wanted his hair, didn't you? That's all it was.
My hair went white so fast, man. I wish I could have his hair and his stash.
Mine's going there. I have some, you get some coming in my beard. I'm excited though. I know. Well, you're a little more seasoned than I am.
More seasoned. You're an elder. Yeah. So in any case, that's where your love from reading came from. Yeah. It was just one of these weird roundabout things that happened to me. And then, you know, I fell in love with all of these things sort of at the same time, and they all more or less coalesced into this. I don't even know. Another student. It's okay. You're not too late. We're going to get ready to watch the show here in a few minutes. So we're just, Dr. Sargon it's so weird when you guys call him Professor Donabed. I always just call him Sargon. And I know it's probably weird in the reverse for you guys, but Professor Donabed here is just giving us a rendition of how he became a nerd. Yeah, Thatcher, good to hear. Man, I haven't heard from you in ages. Hope you're doing well. Yeah. So, but anyways, yeah, started reading, and, you know, Quiet Man's a big one because. When did you first read Wheel of Time? What's that? When did you first read The Wheel of Time? Some point in high school. At some point in high school. That's when I started too. If you may get a visitor of my children in this. So yay. So, but yeah, off and on. I can regulate my cursing. Don't worry. Yeah, no worries. So in any case, yeah, that's kind of my thing. But okay. But you also hello. Yeah, we're gonna get these. It's like I want to be on, but I don't want to be on. The whatchamacall, the really cool thing that I enjoy. Yay, there he is. Hello. Hi, we can see you. I love your pajamas. What's on the pajamas? Come on, what's on your pajamas? I like your he's looking for his stuff. He's got to grab his stuff. I have Lilo and Stitch pajamas. The pajamas I'm currently wearing have animal on them from the from the Muppets. Mm-hmm. My pajama pants that I'm currently wearing. Yeah. Oh my God. So yes, I can do
anyway, one of the cool things that I think that you do, which is kind of evident to your students coming in and hanging out with us here, is one, you have your classes that you do the Wheel of Time on. So like,
yeah, absolutely.
So can you tell us a little bit about how did you get that into the official curriculum, and like what does a class like that encompass? Like how did you get that to be an academic class, basically?
So that's a good question. What I did was I started teaching it from the perspective of okay, I don't even know how to put this. How do I put this? How do I argue this that it sounds not just nerdy but also academic? So what we did was, well, at the time I thought to myself, there's enough fantasy that is deeply tied to mythology and various types of mythology. And historically, the first literature that, pops up in any culture is myth.
Yeah.
And modern fantasy is just, modern society's retelling
of ancient myths. Yeah.
Because we've killed our myths. And so we've tried to rekindle a very typically human thing, which is myth making, right? Mythopoeia.
Yeah.
And so we do it all the time, but we have, since people like Stan Lee and other folks have started writing the comics and then looking for heroes and looking for people to connect with, both for their human attributes, but also wanting to be something more, right? So it's a little bit of both. And I think that's what we see in our ancient myths, right? But we killed them all off. So we found new ways to express them for a modern society, I think. And that's why I think all the best TV shows and movies and books are fantastical, right? They're in some way or some fashion what we would typically think of as fantasy, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Avatar's obviously is another great example of
that. Avatar does so well with, and it's in turn with Wheel of Time. The writers of Avatar, like, I think on so many levels are geniuses, but the way they interweave different real world traditions, mythologies, beliefs, religions, and things like that, which there's quite a few in this episode, in these two episodes that we're going to talk about, but is very similar to the way Jordan did it, which is, I think, probably lends to your type of classes pretty easily, right? The idea of having the real world traditions and real world mythologies and stuff like that. If he wants to come hang out, he can come hang out. It's fine.
They're just asking me for their stuffies, and I'm like, you need to go to bed. It's 9:20.
Oh,
you need your stuffies. You need to go to bed. I put books in front of the thank you.
We love him.
Yeah. So basically, I was like, yeah, I owe you one. So my daughter came in and basically saved the day.
We love her too.
Yeah, thank you.
She's the older daughter, right?
Yeah. So we basically came in to say hello and went back out to shut the door. Shut the door, quick! Shut the door. The funny part. Okay, she goes, tell him I said hi.
We'll have to do something with the kids at some point. Like Crystal and I have talked about doing other shows where we focus on like a specific aspect from Wheel of Time. So maybe there's some, and we can probably tie it to Avatar too, so that the kids could be interested in it, which is one of the things that I really love that Avatar did, was bring a lot of, I hesitate to say just adult, but like really deep thought and deep meaning behind pretty important topics to kids. Yeah, like so for instance, like Zuko in these two episodes, this is when Zuko finally, yay! Is that the lightsaber?
It's the half of it that. Yeah.
Oh, you took the hilt off. See, my hilt is much cooler than yours. You might have your blade in, but my hilt is.
This was I was taking my kids trick or treating, and it's an Amazon special.
Oh, okay, all right. I still win. That's all that matters now.
Oh, totally. Yeah, I need to get one of yours.
Oh, well, you let me know whenever you want to come down, and that's what we'll do.
Yeah, absolutely. I really need to do it, but I hear it's like crazy.
Oh, it's so much fun.
You got to book them in advance, right?
Oh yeah, you go to build a lightsaber. Yeah, you got to book it in advance. The oh yeah, Thatcher. That is where we met Elle. So I was just about to bring up why I know Elle, and yes, Elle was at Roger Williams, right? College? Yes. Yeah, Roger Williams College as well. So the cool thing about these 2 episodes, though, specifically to finish that thought, was that, and how it's introduced to kids like really important thought processes, is throughout this series, we're kind of fighting the Fire Nation, and the Fire Nations are kind of built to be the bad guy. But I think Avatar and the writers do a great job of framing it in a way that they're telling us, and it's sad to say, but it's so apt to our current climate in our reality of like, not just because we're fighting the Fire Nation doesn't mean every single person in the Fire Nation is bad. The Fire Nation citizens aren't all bad, and even the Fire Nation army isn't always bad. Mm-hmm. Like, and that's, they focus on that a lot in the series, that it comes down to the individual people. Sometimes they're doing something that they don't want to be doing. And even some of the Fire Nation people fight back against it. And then on the other side of that, we've had people that are the good guys in this show, in the Earth Nation and in the Water Nation, who end up not being the greatest. We've had several Earth Nation people out and out attack Aang to try to manipulate him into using his stronger abilities to be able to fight, better in their thoughts, which is a great example of, the good guys trying to get, trying to win, but in the wrong way. And that's such a great lesson to teach kids, to teach anybody, but to teach kids that, just because there's these 2 sides, it's, especially in something as complicated as warfare, there's never, an 100% right, 100% wrong, almost ever. Like, there's almost never a right and wrong like that, especially when it comes down to like the size of nations and things. A great quote I once heard from, I can't remember if it was a documentary or a movie about World War II, but it was like, I think it might have been Captain America. It might have been Captain America, and it was Stanley Tucci, maybe, because I'm seeing Stanley Tucci in my head. He played a Jewish German scientist, and he said, you have to remember the first place that the Nazis invaded was their own country.
Yeah.
So like, I think about that, and I said it before in an earlier episode, maybe in season 2, about the same thing about the Fire Nation. Like, the first thing that the Fire Lord did, back when they,
his brother, right? Or his dad.
It was his great grandfather, maybe, because it was 100 years prior to the show. Yeah. So it's probably the great grandfather of the current Fire Lord. Was he corrupted their own teachings and their own people into doing what they did of trying to take over the world. So it's just a really great, I feel like I've been saying all along, like, I can't wait for the kids that grew up watching Avatar to like become our politicians and things like that, because I feel like the world will be a better place all in all.
Oh, that's the greatest part about the commentaries that Avatar, I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I think Korra does more with political messaging than I think this one does.
Korra certainly does more overt political messaging because it's a more adult show. So the writers originally said they wanted the show to grow with the original audience. So that show is good for, like, late teens and things like that. So it has a much more adult.
It gets darker.
Much darker.
Yeah, no, there are some moments where when my kids were watching Korra, I thought to myself, is this really what I want them to watch? But then, it was okay, because I think some things went over their heads. But I think I have to say I enjoy this one a little bit more so. I like the goofiness. I like the silliness of it.
Me too.
I like the childlike nature of the main characters, because it's not without. I mean, it's not without its pain and its sorrow and its grief, but it takes all of that and reminds us that there's a lighthearted piece to all of that.
Yeah.
And that, there is a continuity and life goes on, and I know I just Aang as the avatar in this, it's a little bit funny for me when I see him in Korra, right? When he's grown up, it's kind of, I look at him and I'm like, oh yeah, Aang. But in this, it's to me, this is truly like him at his best. This is him at his best, right?
Yeah.
Like, this is what I would want the avatar to be like.
Grandfather. Okay, sorry. Thanks, Al. Yeah, it was Fire Lord Ozai's grandfather who started the war.
Yes, and then Zuko's dad takes out his dad, right?
Yeah, well, that's the prevailing theory, is that his mother killed him for Fire Lord Ozai. Like Ozai. So this is another cool thing that the writers did. They made all of the villainous characters in the show kind of layered, so that there was never like a true out and out evil villain, except Ozai. Ozai is the only one that really has no redeeming quality whatsoever. They give him nothing. Like, they don't tell you anything about his past. He's just the evil bad guy at the end of the level, that's the guy they're getting to.
Oh, wait, so then I have a question. Sorry to interrupt.
Shoot. No, yeah, shoot.
So if Ozai's the only bad guy,
everyone else they give layers to, but there's other villains.
No, but okay, so I find almost nothing redeeming about Azula.
Oh yeah, well, but see, here's the thing: you get to remember Azula's 14.
Well, I was going to say, except the fact that she's a kid, and we just watched Karate Kid with my kids, and I was reminded of a really great moment where Mr. Miyagi, Pat Morita's talking to LaRusso, talking to Daniel, and says, "No such thing." Yeah, so he looks right at me and he goes, "No such thing as bad student, only bad teacher." And I was like, yeah.
Ooh, yeah. And see, so that's another great thing that Avatar does, is with Azula and with Zuko, you have two kids that came from the same childhood trauma, but they were both affected so differently by it. Like, this is the two ends of the spectrum of people affected by the childhood trauma that they were inflicted upon by their father. Zuko got the banishment, you're not living up to what I want to be, get out of here, from him. And Azula was more, she wanted to please him, so every part of her being is to do what she thinks he wants, and it's become her whole personality. And one of the cool things, it's not cool, it's horrible for the character, but it's great for story writing and development, I think, is that when we see Azula finally do what she thinks is everything is done, Ozai leaves her and abandons her, and he's like, you could be the Fire Lord, I'm gonna go be the Phoenix King. I don't care what you do over here with the Fire Nation. I'm the king of the world now. Yeah. And she has a mental breakdown. Like, she completely breaks down. And that's when we see how Azula is a child who's had all of these, like, she didn't want to be this, obviously. Like, she just thinks that she does because of this whole thing with her dad and how her mom treated her, which is a whole nother. We're not putting Azula on the therapy couch right now, but it's a whole nother thing.
Yeah, then it just terrifies. Yeah, it just makes you realize how
exactly. Alan. No, and you're good. You're also like a minute or so behind us because of the way we stream and stuff. Yeah. But no, yeah, that is exactly what we're talking about. So Azula was the golden child, and Zuko is like, I don't know what you would call Zuko, but he gets banished, and
the scapegoat. I think Elle said, right?
What's up?
Scapegoat is what Elle said.
He's scapegoated in that way. So that's great. But yes, the writers said basically, the only true evil character in this show is Ozai. Like, he has no redemption whatsoever. They give him no redeeming qualities. The only little thing that they do for him is in a coming episode, you see a picture of him when he was a child, and it makes Aang, which is what makes Aang second guess killing him, because he, and it's another great lesson to teach, everybody, but especially kids, is that dichotomy between, like, we're at war and we have to stop this person, but should I really kill him? Like, and did Aang make the right decision? Did he not? Like, that's left up to the viewer, because we never really see what happens after that. But
I was just thinking about that too. I mean, the cool thing, I have to say, one of the coolest things I find about...
Oh, hold on. Hold that thought.
Yeah.
And I want you to do it. But before we go, what I usually do for everybody is I have a link for the thing. So I'm going to share that. I want everyone to just get prepared while we do our couple more thoughts on the thing. So I'm going to post a link right now to do a watch party with us. That is a link. It will prompt you to download a Chrome extension. It's a legit extension. Netflix made it. It's so that we can do watch parties together. You don't have to pay for anything. If it prompts you to pay for something, just tell them no. Or if you don't want to follow that, I will have a timestamp on screen, but my timestamp is broken, so I have to put it back up on screen again. It is not that. That's the us. There it is. There's the timestamp, and I'm going to fix it. I don't know why it broke, but it broke. So I'll have the timestamp on screen so that you could follow it with us. And if you want to follow it that way, you could just press play and line up the times at the same time with us. So go ahead, and people can get that ready while we finish our last thought. All right, go ahead.
What the hell was I saying?
I don't know. That's why I said put a pin in it and remember, because I'm not going to remember.
No. Oh, okay. No, there was something.
We were talking about Azula, and
that's what I really love. Another piece about what I think is so cool about Aang as Avatar is when he goes to speak to every one of his past lives, there's not one of them. And I think they're all extremely respectable people, right? They are truly, one of a kind. But it also it shows you the distinctions, right? Like, everyone's a little bit different, but they all give them the same advice, right? Like, don't make the mistake I did. Take this dude out. Don't do that. Take the dude out. Take this dude out. Take this dude out. And then eventually he's like, no, I don't want to listen to my past lives.
Exactly.
Which is amazing, of course. I mean, I understand it's a TV show, but
it's amazing. It's great writing. It's a great thought process.
Fantastic writing.
And I think it's so good because the idea of the Avatar is it cycles between all of the peoples, all of the nations. So you're having the people that he talks to are Kyoshi, who was an earthbender, grew up in the Earth Nation. Roku, Avatar Roku, who grew up in the Fire Nation. And then, I can't remember his name. Maybe Rapunzel or Nomen, I don't remember. It starts with a K, I think. The Waterbender, the last Waterbender,
yes.
Avatar. And they have
Kyoshi's the Earthbender, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, Kyoshi was the Earthbender, yeah. They have very different views on life, on everything than an Airbender would have. But the Avatar isn't supposed to just come to it listening to the entirety of his past lives. He's supposed to. That's why it cycles around. So it's a different person each time. Mm-hmm. So he's gaining the wisdom from these other benders who grew up in these other nations and have these other backgrounds. But he also remembers that he's an airbender, and the way he was taught was, to value all life and things like that. So the teachings kind of it shows, and Iroh does this too. It has done this with Zuko, and that's why and it's a great way to show that Zuko became good because of it. Is you shouldn't ever really, I think the thing that the writer's trying to convey is that you shouldn't ever really go just to one place for knowledge. You should try to learn from many different peoples, many different teachings, many different theologies or schools of learning before you make a decision like, I'm going to kill Fire Lord of the Fire Nation, and I think that's another Kuruk. Thanks, Rapunzel. It was Avatar Kuruk was the last waterbender. I knew it was a K. I had that right. And that's another great thing that the writers for the show did. And I'm still super surprised they haven't written more stuff. Like they've only done Avatar or Avatar associated things, which is very surprising to me because I think they're geniuses.
Yeah, no, I agree. It was funny when you were saying this. One of the things that just popped into my mind is when he's talking to his past selves, his past lives, and he's recognizing the things that are extremely important. And there goes a dude bombing by on a motorcycle.
I was about to say, they're racing.
Yeah. So that, of course, do we do spoiler? There's no spoilers for Wheel of Time on this, right?
No. So I'll just give a warning. If you're gonna spoil something, just give a warning.
Well, okay. So spoiler alert. This is something that comes up in book 12, 13, 12, okay. I think. Rand sitting atop the mountain and like that moment of revelation when he goes, oh, all the past lives coming back, and like perhaps we get to love again, that moment of like, oh yeah, like we get to make these mistakes, but we also get another chance at this, right? Like we can take all the stuff, like I'm not, I am and I'm not, right? Like we've never been separate, but
he learns from it.
And then of course the best part, I mean, this is not exactly Avatar, but at least for Wheel of Time, that moment.
Hey, listen, we're Dragonmount. We could talk about Wheel of Time whenever we want.
Oh yeah, like just that. I'm getting goosebumps because that moment where he goes, "I was raised better." Like what's the what happened or what's the difference? And that will always stay with me, which is why when you and I have the conversations about why it's so important for the Edmonds fielders to be so simple, I always think that's so important. Like that, I was raised better, right? Like that moment of like, I don't know how the hell Luce Theron, what kind of like privilege she grew up in, whatever the situation was, but
how would Rand do this? And that's how he comes to his ultimate decision, which is perfect.
So brilliant. I love that moment. Such a great moment. And then just that one line of I was raised better, like.
Yeah. Broadening the mind. That's exactly correct. Like being so narrowly focused and narrow-minded on things is often in the Wheel of Time and in Avatar: The Last Airbender shown to be like not a good idea.
And on social media. So if you're in the same echo chamber over and over and don't get out of your house.
Yes. Like if for the very least you should educate yourself in the opposing point of view so that you know what to argue against at the very least.
Well, that's what makes that whole, this whole season 3 so cool is they're hanging out with the Fire Nation, right? They're like living they're living as people in the Fire Nation. So they get to see, as you said, I think you said this right when we started, that other side of, okay, I hate people in the Fire Nation, right? They're all awful, but oh no, they're not. They're kids like me, and they don't even know what music and dancing really is. They
had their Footloose episode where they saved the school with dance.
Yeah.
And Footloose. Ultimately, we find out that dance kind of saves the entire Fire Nation because the reason why they like I'm not sure if this is canon or like it's just like kind of like the prevailing theory that. So dancing is outlawed in the Fire Nation. Then when we learn the true origins of firebending, which we're going to learn in this episode, is it comes from fire isn't just destruction, it's life and energy. And what's the best way to show life with your body? Dancing. And like most of the ancient firebending techniques are dances. And that's what we get in the second episode here when we meet the original firebenders, which is great.
Yeah, Footloose. Wait a minute.
Yeah, I know. I have to make some sort of like a meme of some kind that's like Kevin Bacon and Footloose and saving the Fire Nation or something because.
Totally, dude. Why is my thing going back to the beginning again for the watch party? Oh no.
I don't know. Just click the link again and it'll rejoin. If anyone is having problem, I'll post the link again in chat. And I'll put it in our chat so that you can click on it directly, Sargon. Just go ahead and refresh it. It should just be paused right now on A Kid's Genes because that's the Nickelodeon in the beginning.
Oh, yeah. See, I'm even further behind than that because I clicked on it and I was like, Thom, I'm so far behind. It's still paused.
Oh, no. Yeah, you're good. You're good. It'll catch up once I press play. And if it seems like anyone gets out of whack, if you refresh the link again, it'll bring you to where I have it going currently. Which, come to think, I think we can get started on the episode. There's no other thing that we need to mention before we dive in, I don't think. I looked at the screen and I saw my shirt. Do you remember where this is from?
Wait, hold on. I gotta like make it bigger. My eyes are starting to go.
Statistically the best. Do you know what this is from?
I don't. Why is it not? As you said that, my cat started meowing outside of the door.
It says statistically the best.
Statistically the best.
Here, hold on. I'll show you.
The Wheel of Time fandom is statistically the best fandom. It's
true. It's kind of true. Like having been to JordanCon and DragonCon and many other conventions, being immersed in many different fandoms, the Wheel of Time fandom tends to be way better than most for a lot of different reasons.
Like this.
Is that a flag? What is it? I can't. It's a horse and a sun, maybe.
Oh, that's the flag of the Rohirrim.
That's what I thought. Okay, I was going to say, is it Tolkien? Okay, all right.
No, it is, but no, it was more. It was him. This one, who got into a fight with
Kitty. Hello, Kitty.
Who got into a fight with his sister? We think today, because redirected aggression from an outdoor cat that they saw out in the basement, and she took a tuft out of his head.
Oh no!
Yeah.
What's his name?
That is Orion.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Yeah, that's Orion, and his sister is Lyra. And they were originally going to be Neptune and Uranus. The kids wanted to name them, and I had to stop that. I feel bad now, but I think I made the right decision.
All right. Well, next time maybe you can do like Poseidon and I don't know what's another god or myth name that is tangentially related to Uranus or Uranus. I don't know.
Yeah, well, that was the thing. They specifically kept saying Uranus, and I was like,
yeah.
If we're gonna keep doing it, we're just Neptune and Uranus. we just can't.
Fair enough. You can name them Pluto, and then just be like, they're the runt of the litter. All right, well, I'm gonna
go for it.
I'm gonna press play. So if anyone is gonna try to line up the show, I'll give a short countdown, and I'll have the timer lined up to our playing of the episode. So I'm gonna get ready to press play here.
Yeah, it's funny. You caught me in a time where I have a lot of random Wheel of Time. Well, I always have Wheel of Time stuff. I don't have a ton of Avatar stuff here. My kids have the majority of the Avatar stuff now. I do have my Gandalf pipe, and I do have my lightsaber. I do have the flag of the Rohirrim, and then a friend of mine
just pieces of joy scattered around the house.
Oh. These were the most recent books that I lent to folks. Can I show other books on this show?
Yeah, show whatever you want. What are those? Can't really read them.
Crap.
Upside down. There you go.
There we go.
Oh, Stephen Erickson. Yeah. Okay, I've tried to read Malazan, Book of the Fallen.
Yeah.
That's that series. I've tried to read that series several times. And I honestly, it's not that it's bad because it's a great series, but I just can't. Like I forget that I'm reading it. Something will come up. And a bunch of time will pass, and then I'll go back to try to reread the first book, and that's happened to me like 4 times. But hold on one second. Let me press play on this episode.
Oh, sure.
All right, I'm going to press play in 3, 2, 1, play. So we should. Oh, hold on a sec. The timer will go in a second. I'm going to line it up. So 25. 20,
I'm going to see if mine's on too.
And go. All right.
Returning to the party.
Yay. Okay. So now if you're following along on the watch party, it should be playing. If not, just click the link again. And if you're following along on your own, the timer is lined up. So we're good. We're still in the opening theme. We're not going to skip the opening theme or the recap or anything like that. I call them little pieces of joy because they, Marie Kondo is always like, does that bring you joy? Yes, it brings me joy. My house is cluttered. She would hate it, but it all brings me joy. So
yeah, I that's the thing that's kind of tough about it. I have so much stuff in here right now. I mean, this is our little off. It's like our little office, but it's also space to. It should be for our kids, but it's they haven't quite graduated to having the spaces for themselves, and so they're kind of just hanging out together. But we've used it as an office. We used it through COVID.
So much streaming that we had to do in COVID.
Yeah, there was just so much. So I, of course, just jam packed this whole area right now. This is the most recent book I started reading. Have you read this?
No, I have not. Sunbringer. Sunbringer. Okay, wow, I couldn't see it because it's not
cool. Hannah Canner. I just read the first one, God Killer, and this is Sunbringer. They're good. They're interesting. I'm still, I'm getting into the second one a little bit. It's tough to do in the summer because I feel like by the time the day is done,
you're like a cat. The heat drains you of energy. You got to go to sleep.
Well, yeah, and it's once everybody's like finally asleep, it's 9:30, and I'm ready to go to bed. So that ends up happening very quickly. But
I only have fur babies. I don't have real babies.
Oh, they're equivalent to every other kind of baby. These fur babies are. Well, this one wakes up. He's got the loudest voice, and it's like high pitched, and he'll just come in and go meow at 4:30 in the morning. I'm like, dude, I fed you. Stop. Just leave me alone.
Oh, I have a fun piece of information about the air temple. So we're seeing the air. So this is the first time we're seeing the Western Air Temple, and it's really cool. It's so, as you can see, it's mounted underneath the ledge of like an overhang on a cliff, which is pretty freaking cool. But it's also modeled after ancient Bhutanese Buddhist temples. And I have a couple of pictures that you could definitely see it when you look at the images next to that. Here it is. I'm like, I uploaded too many pictures of Yanni when we were talking about Yanni before.
So I'm just randomly pressing fire. Is it working when I press fire?
Yeah, the fire comes up on the screen.
Oh, see, I'm such a Luddite here.
What's up, Thatcher? Please tell Professor that Cam Anderson and I still send books to each other.
Oh, that's hilarious. I haven't heard from Cam in
that's awesome.
A long time.
Books, bringing people together over books, especially Wheel of Time, because it's so long, will create friendships that last forever, because that's how long it takes to get to the bottom of that series.
Well, I was going to say, Thatcher, hold on real quick. For the love of
Hello, Kitty. Here's the Bhutanese temple that this temple is based on, and you could definitely see it especially in this shot right here, in the two temples.
Oh my God, your claws! Oh my claws! Claws. Okay. I promise. Just go.
He's like, I want love. You have to love me.
He's like, he just wants to play outside all the time. We take him outside, and then he's like, all right, that's fun for 5 minutes. Now let me out of my catio outside. I want to go out and just explore. Thatcher, tell Cam I said hello. I have not heard from Cam it's been quite some time.
Oh, so I forgot to mention about your students, and that was so the reason that your students are here and that they're other than they like listening to your nonsense, is because you include them in when you come to JordanCon and do panels and stuff. They are the panelists on the panels that you do at JordanCon, and you kind of act as the moderator for the panel, but you do pitch the entire thing to them and let them kind of lead it. And I love that about those panels. I have a lot of fun doing those panels.
Well, for whatever reason, you and Aaron have been fantastic. Well, not for whatever reason, for the reason that you guys are fantastic. But for whatever reason, I thought years ago this would be an awesome opportunity for kids. Just because I found, and maybe that's what it was. Like I found that the Wheel of Time fandom was so amazing. Everyone that I had met was just fantastic, kind, conscientious, fun to be around. I feel like I've met some, I mean, like you and Aaron. I mean, I don't know. Had I been to Dragon? I think I had been to Dragon Con once before going to Wheel of Time.
Dragon Con is more like Mardi Gras.
Oh yeah,
for nerds.
Oh my God, it was insane. But I remember it was fun, and I definitely met a bunch of people, and it was great, and kept in contact. What's that?
The frog. I love one of my favorite things one of my favorite silly things that they do in the show is the weird mixing of animals that they do. And he was talking to a badger frog right there, and it made me laugh. Anyway.
Yeah,
yes, Dragon Con sucks. It's like, listen, it doesn't suck. It sucks now because I'm 40, but like, it's if you want to go and you like drinking a lot, and you could be safe with that, because oh my God, like I saw so many unconscious young women on the floor, unconscious in the middle of the day.
Not recently.
At 2019 Dragon Con was the last one I went to.
Oh, I haven't. Maybe I was there 28, 29. I don't remember. I was there before COVID, but that was probably the last time I had been there, because then they kind of stopped a little bit, right?
Another one of your students.
Another one shows up. Another one.
Welcome. Yeah, I mean, if you like the sound of Mardi Gras with a lot of nerd stuff, you'll like Dragon Con. But it is very big, very, very big. 90,000 people, I think, when I went. It's gone down from COVID, but I think last year it was still 70 or 60,000 people.
Oh, it is insane. Oh, hi, Zuko here. Yeah, sorry, that's a great moment.
It's a great thing here.
Like, really, you're back, dude? Come on.
The growth that Zuko went through in this show is easily my favorite part of the show, and could have been by itself its own television show.
Well, and also as an anthrozoologist, as you mentioned earlier, I love the fact that the writers, and it doesn't matter if you've spent time, studying human-animal relationships or not.
I think
Appa licking him means that he's not a bad dude, right?
Yeah.
Like that's the first thing that happens. None of them.
And they point that out. They do point that out. They use that in when they're weighing right now to trust him a couple of times. Appa seems to like him. Toph is the one that kind of has been the least affected by Zuko, because she joined them in season 2 when Zuko had gone through one of his little growth spurts by then. It was after most of Zuko's war crimes that he committed. Because he did burn down a few villages and, do a lot of bad things prior to his enlightenment from his uncle.
Well, and that's great. That line from Sokka is great. Maybe he just smeared himself in honey. And the best part about that, and I know it seems ridiculous, like, okay, that's kind of silly humor, but the point, I think the writers meant, Sokka is both absolutely serious, and yet this phenomenal piece of comic relief that just always he's also focused. I love the episode. Did we already pass? It must have already passed, right? The episode where he goes and becomes a sword master, or
we did. And that was, again, the guy that he learns from, a Fire Nation general.
Yes.
And a Fire Nation sword teacher. So that was a really great, also like layering in the not all the Fire Nation people are bad.
Yeah. And he was White Lotus too, right? If I remember.
Yeah, he is also White Lotus. He tells him, he gives them one of the White Lotus tiles, Pai Sho tile. Yeah. Go or whatever. It's like a mixture of Mahjong, Go, and like something else.
Very, very cool.
Yeah. So what I've been doing recently for the in prep for these episodes is, like, I found old Avatar DVDs that have like the DVD extras on them still, like from the writers and the director or whoever they have on there.
Mm.
And they said one of the little bits of information they said about the Western Air Temple specifically was they used to host the World Pie Show tournament at it.
Oh.
I think Iroh at one point mentions it, or maybe they might. I don't think they mention it in this episode, but Iroh might have mentioned it at some point.
Yeah, and this is him. I forgot about him talking to the frog. That's always great.
Yeah.
But no, I think that's what's so wonderful about this. They've done such a good job at piecing. I don't think there's a part that they didn't sort of bring together in these last few episodes. They did it in a good, I think, in as well of a way as was feasible without dropping the ball. You know what I mean? I think they could have brought it together quicker, but it wouldn't tie things together as nicely as they did. I think they, because he could have been great right now at the beginning, but it wouldn't be believable, right? They were pissed off at him. Katara's still pissed off from being in the crystal mines where he betrayed them, way back when.
Yeah, and she brings that up too.
Yeah. Yeah. And
my throat will flap. Sorry.
Yeah.
it's fucking sorry. Like I said though, Zuko. And I don't know if you know this. I've mentioned it before on the show, but another bit of information that I got when going back and rewatching all of the episodes with the commentary from the writers was Zuko wasn't originally in it at all.
Huh.
They didn't have Zuko as a character when they initially pitched the show, and they kind of realized that the Fire Lord wouldn't be a great villain because he doesn't do anything. Like you don't see his face until this season. You don't even see his face. So like realistically having the leader of an entire country and army chasing a kid wouldn't make sense. So, and he would technically probably find him right away. So they added this whole layer of, oh, the Avatar's probably dead. I'm going to send my son on this fool's errand to catch him. So he doesn't care. And that's where Zuko got birthed from. They felt there wasn't a good enough antagonist driving behind Aang and the group. And that's where they made Zuko from. But he was a late addition.
I mean, yeah, it makes sense that, when you're writing something like this, you want something simple and straightforward, especially so that the writers can, not the writers, but the folks who are going to be judging it can kind of focus on it.
Yeah.
But really, yeah, Zuko as a character is he's phenomenal. And it's funny because, you see a vastly different part of Katara here as well. And then here's where she gets her feet burned. But, Katara, I think up until the blood bending is pretty, I don't know if I could say she has any major, I was going to say any major flaws. Yeah, I think she's still pretty...
They do show Katara as like too grounded in her own line of thinking in a couple of times where like she kind of, her flaws are more not flaws, but like not knowing what to do in the appropriate situations because she's a kid. But the way they frame them is more she kind of learns in the moment. She usually learns with the audience at the same time. And then whatever was happening in that moment, she gains from. But it also is the exposition for the audience as well. But I don't think she has any real big overt flaws other than she often thinks she's right. But then again, it's usually because of a lack of knowledge on her part, not from some sort of internal narcissism or something that she has.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of, because really and even the blood bending, it's like, the reason I love the blood bending in Katara is she's one of those people who can, and maybe this is part of what her whole character is, right? Mm-hmm. Is that, I mean, she's a little bit angrier at this point, right? And not as forgiving.
A little jaded.
But she still has that childlike innocence about her to an extent.
I mean, she's only 15.
Well, and she's hardened herself, right? Again, I'm going to make the Wheel of Time connection, right? She's becoming more, I think...
She's 9. 9, even Egwene.
Yeah, well, I mean, even Rand, like she's trying to become a stone rather than a tree that bends in the wind. You know, that sort of.
Yeah.
How many times they talk about he needs to be hard like stone or iron, and he doesn't realize it's going to make him break, right?
Yep.
And she starts going down that path to an extent, but you know, I think the reason that bloodbending made so much sense to me when they first introduced it was that Katara is the character who recognizes she is able to do it, but also can resist the temptation.
She knows that it's wrong to manipulate people in that way.
Yeah, because I mean, we and they live in a world that's very, very gray, and you know, context dictates a lot of how we live our lives.
Exactly.
And that's very, very true. But at the same time, you know, there's a part of me that always thinks, and I do think that this is a good example of that sometimes, you know, people say, well, it's, you know, this is a tool and that's a tool. Yeah, I mean, anything can be used as a tool, but at the same time, you know, very few people can resist the temptation of power like that. And yeah. I mean, literally, bloodbending can control anyone. I mean, she can control anyone.
Yep.
Right.
And since only, like, technically at this point, only 2 people know about it. So exactly. Like, there's no one will have a defense against it.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's, I think, the thing that's so powerful is that, you know, she might be the only one to be able to kind of take a step back and be like, I'm not going to let, you know, my frustrations and my hatred and or let this develop into hatred, right? I'm not going down the path of the dark side, so to speak, like this woman did, right? She learned something that she learned something actually to help herself, right? The bloodbending, but then it developed into something that could be very, very dangerous and used for, you know, great evil in that sense.
Yeah. And a cool thing that they layered into the bloodbending is the movements that Hama, that's the older woman that does the waterbender that does the bloodbending, the movements that she uses are different than so all of the waterbending. So overall, one of the really cool things that they do in this show is all of the martial arts is real martial arts.
Yeah, it's Tai Chi. Waterbending's Tai Chi.
Waterbending, yeah. The normal waterbending is Tai Chi. So but the movements that Hama uses are it's a chin or Qinna, Qinna. It's an ancient form of kung fu that was developed in like 200 in northern China, and it evolved into what is today jujitsu, and it is all based around controlling your opponent and manipulating their joints and their movement.
Yeah, I had to look it up. I was like, what is China? Yeah, when I studied Shaolin Kung Fu and White Crane Kung Fu, so Long Fist and White Crane, at the place that I studied for years, they did a lot of China, joint locks, basically. Yeah, control. It's all control. The whole purpose of China is joint locks. You're absolutely right. Yeah.
Oh, yay, a new name. Hello. Yes, it is super appropriate for bloodbending. And that's what the writers do with all of the kung fu in this, which is great. One of our earlier guests, her name is WTF Elisa, or Eliza, as she would correct me, because that is the correct pronunciation of her name. I saw her on TikTok, and she was fantastic, and I had her on, and I totally stole these quotes from her. But it's basically all the reasons to watch Avatar, why Avatar is so good. And one of them is all of the martial arts and kung fu in the show is based on real martial arts and has a full logic and stuff to it. And it is. And then after all of the serious things that are here, it's like, you know, really cool logical magic system, discussions on intergenerational trauma and ways that it's accessible to children and adults. But of course, the end is a super hot Dami mommy with a whip. A super hot goth Dami mommy with a whip. And she is also in this show. That's the chick that rides like the lizard aardvark thing that hunts the gang in season 2.
I forgot about her. Yeah. Yeah, she's an interesting character.
Yeah, she was pretty cool. She was a pretty cool character in
what's-
Shirashu or something like that, I think. Or
Oh, yeah.
Shirashu is the animal. Forgot her name. Nala, something like that. Maybe I don't know.
Yeah, but bounty hunter, right? Basically.
Yeah, she was bounty hunter. Yeah. It was her name June. Okay, June. Okay, yeah.
June.
So if anyone is ever interested in following a fun creator over on TikTok, it's WTF. I'll get a link for it. WTF Aliza is her name. She's great.
I'd like you to teach me. Oh man, yeah, this is a great moment. What was I shut my brain down. My brain shut down for like 20 seconds when they were talking about the dude. But what does Sokka call him again? Bang bang boom boom guy.
Oh, whoops! I have I fucked up the timer. Sorry, guys. Sparky Boom Boom Man.
Sparky Boom Boom. That's what it is. Yeah.
So a funny thing about Sparky Boom Boom Man is that he doesn't have a name. Oh, thank you, Erin. Erin got her link in chat there. See, she's my helper.
Oh.
She was a guest on like episode 2 or 3 or something like that, I want to say. So if anyone wants to go back and check that out, she was a ton of fun.
Where did my thing go? I'm trying to check to see it. All right.
I did fuck up the timer. I don't know what's happening.
No, I messed up. I'm pressing the wrong button. See, I have this problem with pressing the wrong buttons. I got to go back to it again. I think I shut it down.
You're fine.
Oh,
we're at the end of this episode now anyway. Also, fun fact, Sparky Boom Boom Man is dead.
Say it ain't so, Thom.
Yeah, in the DVD extras, they said that when Sokka hit him in the head with the boomerang, it closed his third eye. So the his whole thing, the tattoo he has on his head, is based on a Hindu representation of the goddess Shiva. She is represented with that exact way they depicted the third eye there. I actually have an image of it from when we did the episode that he first popped up in. I'll get it in a second. And he uses his like chakra through his third eye to bend like that. And they gave a little bit backstory for him that was really cool. It's uploaded. There it is. So there's Sparky Boom Boom Man, and there's actual depictions of Shiva from the Hindu religion, and that's where they get the third eye from. So when Sokka hit him in the forehead with the boomerang, it closed his third eye, and then when he tried to activate his power, which he focuses it there, he literally blew himself up.
Yeah. Oh, Sokka! It finally boomerang worked. I love that.
Yes, it is 100%. And hello, Laura. How you doing? Another new name. Or Lura. I like that. That's how I'm going to pronounce it unless you tell me otherwise. Lura. All right. So I'm going to let this episode play directly into the next one. The timer on the screen will eventually catch up, and I'm going to reshare the link in a second here. So if you want to watch along in the watch party, just click the link. And the timer I'll have back up on the screen in a minute once I put it back up. I have to apparently put it up again from the beginning because I broke it because I'm bad at my job. Right, so the next episode is starting for us. We're still in the opening theme now. So if you're following along, not in the watch party, you're safe still.
Oh, I love
There's the show, but I can't stream that because I will get a
you get feedback,
content violation.
Yeah. So I have to say, I don't know what's up with. Yeah, no matter every time I try to stream something, I would have thought even like at the university when I try to put something through the university system, do you know it doesn't let me play it? Like if I'm on my Netflix account and I'm like in a classroom and I try to play a movie, half the time it doesn't let me do it.
Yeah, it's probably you probably have some sort of guard on the like they probably have something on the system to prevent the website from coming through.
No, I know it's awful because you want to watch it. I want to put something up for these guys to see and not actually have to go to YouTube every 3 seconds. And well, in any case, but this episode. This is one of my favorite episodes.
This is a great episode. for so many reasons. I mean, every single episode in this season is a banger. Like episode after episode after episode. Yay! Okay, as long as you're okay with it, because I don't want to call you something that you're not. Okay, but if you're okay with it, then I'm gonna have fun. Because that's what I need. I need little bits of nonsense everywhere that makes me happy. Is they layer that stuff into the show.
Oh yeah, okay.
We should be all caught up. I think everyone is good. My timer is lined up correctly. The show is playing, so if you guys are hanging out in the watch party to watch, you could do that. For our new people that are our new people that are joining, if you click on the link, it's going to prompt you to download a extension. It's a legit extension. Netflix made it, and now it's like available for a bunch of different streaming services so that you can do watch parties, which makes me happy because the built-in watch party feature on Disney Plus sucks. And when we did the Mandalorian episodes like a few months ago, I had nothing but headaches with their watch party feature. So thankfully we could do this now.
I just love that line. Hey jerks, mind if I watch you jerks do your jerk bending?
Your jerk bending, yeah, it's great.
That's still
is fantastic,
isn't it? But that's another piece of this show that's fantastic. Sokka is a wonderful character for so many reasons, but he doesn't bend. And I know that's an obvious statement, but how bad would it suck to be in the group of those folks? You know, you're with the Avatar, you're now with Zuko, you know, again, probably one of these really powerful firebenders. We know he eventually becomes one. You're with Toph, maybe one of the best earthbenders that exists.
Yeah, she's probably the best earthbender on the planet right now.
Yeah, besides Boomy. Well, you could toss up between Boomy, maybe.
Yeah, her and Boomy, I would say. I mean, but she figured out metal bending.
She did. I guess as an anthrozoologist, I should also throw in that maybe the badger moles.
Oh yeah, the badger moles are definitely the. I mean, it's their nature. That's where they learn from, which is another great thing I love that the show does, is that it all comes from one place and one. The writers of this show are just geniuses, and I'm so upset that they don't write more. I want more from them. It doesn't even have to be Avatar. I just want to see more from their brains.
And they could totally do. I mean, just think of, do something post Korra.
They're going to. They actually are. Not Netflix. Nickelodeon gave them their own studio and was like, have fun. Yeah. So now they have Avatar Studios. They're actively working on new content. They've said that they're going to release standalone movies and a new series.
Oh, that would be so cool. But I'm gonna date myself here again, and I'm gonna show my age and say I liked the world when it was more simplistic. So when we got into steampunk, again, I was kind of like, I get it, I like it, but
they showed the progression of the world with the magic
technology. Yeah, it was too technologically advanced for me, which is where they lost me, I think. I appreciated so much about Korra that,
And here's your badger moles. Sorry, she's talking about it right now, so I had to call attention.
Well, and that's one of the best pieces of this. Again, is that it did for the writers anyway with the whole Avatar saga, is that they moved forward really well, and they brought things to, I think, a really natural progression. Like the again, spoiler alert if you haven't watched Korra, but the rebirth of the Air Nation, right, or the Air Nomads, but they're not in a sense they're not really nomads anymore. I mean they are and they're not. Yeah. When they have a little bit of a rebirth, but
they still travel between the different temples, but their main home is in the Republic City or whatever.
Well, and the funny part is none of them are actually related to. It's not like that. These are families who have like earthbenders and they grew up in earthbending culture for X amount of generations. These legitimately come from all over the world, right?
Yeah.
Gain bending, and then and Aang Sun Bumi is one of them, right? So all of a sudden you get this really cool.
And another White Lotus member in Boomy. Oh man, my head is super shiny. I usually I got makeup just for doing this show because my head gets so shiny, and I forgot to put it on today.
I thought you were going to say I legitimately polish my head before I do a show.
Don't do that. I just shave it because I don't like having hair in my head. Gildarts? Miss Winters, I'm just going to call you because your picture here makes me feel you're probably a miss, but correct me if I'm wrong. I don't want to assume your gender. I think they're in tandem with Paramount and Nickelodeon, but they have their own studio, and Nickelodeon, from what they said, is like they have full control over it and they can do whatever they want. Like Nickelodeon's not going to sit on them and make them do anything.
So
I'll make sure to put my makeup on next time for you, though. And Elle, I saw your message. Just watch the Dragonmount social medias and hop in our Discord, and you could follow along. We do vote on our next shows, and I legitimately want to watch Ahsoka in our next in with everybody. So that's gonna probably be on the list when we do a vote for what are we going to watch next. We only have 4 of our episodes left before this show is done. So
wait, I want to be Ahsoka. Hold on.
Oh, here Aaron brought me my white lightsaber crystal too.
Oh,
for my lightsaber.
All right.
I don't have the blade, but the one that's in here currently is purple. It's the Mace Windu crystal because
I need to. All right, I need to get one of these Kyber crystals.
You do. You got to come to Florida. We'll make a day out of it.
This is as close as I can get to it.
So a cool thing about
Ahsoka.
Oh yeah, for sure. You're definitely invited for Ahsoka. I'll make sure that you get an episode for sure. If we do Ahsoka, it's up to the audience. It's up to them. Whatever they vote on, we put the 4 options. They vote. The temple, the fire temple here, or the fire dragon. What did they call them? Sun Warriors. The Sun Warrior temple is based on India Buddhist temples, and this is the temple that they specifically pulled from. It's I had the name written down because it's not a name that I'm used to saying all the time, but this is a specific temple that they used in their reference for making these temples here, which is again just another great thing that they did for these shows. I'll find it in a second. I have it in I have something that I usually don't do, a huge plethora of like open freaking tabs on my computer, which I try to avoid doing. It's the Great Stupa, S-T-U-P-A, Stupa. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. But if you search the Great Stupa or Great Stupa, that temple will come up. That is the temple that they based this one on.
It's funny. There's something about this. I mean, it looks very Indian to me, but there are some pieces of it that also make me think of something maybe like
Aztec, maybe?
Aztec, yeah. I was thinking of
I was thinking too.
Something Central South American, or Mexico on down in a sense.
I felt that too. I think that might be due to one of the other references that we're going to get in a second, which is not only do they layer the references to actual real world mythologies and real world traditions and cultures, but pop culture, because we're going to get a reference for Indiana Jones and Raiders of the Lost Ark in a minute. So, and it's specifically when he was at that ancient Aztec temple in South America in the beginning, when they get the head, the golden idol statue. He says, "I'm a little bit wary of golden statues on pedestals." So that might have been where the little bit, because especially their headdresses and even their faces, that looks very Aztec.
Because the background looks very, as you said, I mean, this looks all very much India.
Absolutely. I have been loving The Acolyte, and we could do a little chat about it with no spoilers for people because it's still very fresh. I love The Acolyte. Most of the people, I haven't read any real arguments against The Acolyte. other than a handful with actually Gerald Coleman, who was my guest last week, who is also friends with Sargon, Dr. Donabed here.
Yay, Gerald. Sargon.
But most of the people that are fighting against the Acolyte are just either racist or misogynist or homophobic, one of those. Because, oh no, there was 2 characters in it that may be gay, and there's a non-binary person and a woman is the lead. So, obviously, I've often said that the Star Wars fandom is the worst, is one of the worst fandoms I've ever come in contact with. And that's only because I'm so much exposed to the Wheel of Time fandom. And again, just to remind everybody,
the Wheel of Time fandom is statistically the best fandom.
And I don't know if you remember who that is, but that's Rafe, the showrunner for the Wheel of Time TV show. We did a live interview with him. And if anyone wants to watch that, shameless plug, it's on the Dragonmount YouTube channel in our videos when we got to do a live interview with Rafe Judkins, which was a lot of fun.
Sorry, this is just a great moment.
It's this whole episode is fantastic.
Yeah,
but like I said, this entire season is just banger after banger. Like, I wouldn't even say any of the episodes are filler episodes, even in the other seasons. But yeah, see, like I don't know, maybe the Buddhist, Indian Buddhist temple or people have face paint like that, but that really reminds me of South American.
Yes, yeah, I would say too, and that's the funny part. The background, as you were saying, right? Like the temple itself and everything looks and the symbols are very India, but and now this looks.
Sorry, what animal is that? So creepy and flicking them. Sorry.
No, it's so interesting. But yeah, and even like Sun Warrior, just that it's not even a phrase, but that 2-piece idea makes me think a lot of sort of like Aztec or I mean, it could easily be a variety of other, but Aztec's one of the first ones that comes to mind.
And his staff, and then the light reflecting through it is also reference to Raiders of the Lost Ark when they had the staff of I think they called it the Staff of Ra or whatever.
Oh, now you made me think of Stargate.
Also, a show full of very overt references to Egyptian theology and mythology.
Yeah, no, totally. But, I was going to say, I have to say this because when you were saying the issue of Star Wars fandom, I was going to say, it's funny. I was watching The Acolyte and I was like, this is really cool. Yeah, and then I went online to read something and it was like, let me start telling you what's wrong with this episode. And I thought to myself, I don't understand. I mean,
I got you, Noman Garden. Sorry.
It's pretty cool. I don't understand what's going on here. I'm a little confused with what the criticism is.
It's all just the neckbeard stupid people, not straight people, not white people, and not men exist in Star Wars, so they don't like it.
Well, Star Wars, I mean, I think that the biggest question I had about it, honestly, was, and this is, I think, is just the way, I guess, the way I look at it, is the moment where I can't even say it, right? Because I'll give it away. I don't want to give it away.
Let's not spoil. I'm not sure which actor that is. Which actor is that from Stargate?
Which one? What do you mean?
Joe Mala's what Rapunzel said here. I don't know which actor that is. Rapunzel, when she sees that, she'll tell us. What did you say? The Star Wars fandom. Yeah. So like I said, the majority of the people that are angry about it are just, oh, he was the lead writer for the show. Thank you, Rapunzel. We love Rapunzel here too. Rapunzel, I love all of our regular people, but Rapunzel and Noman Garden keep me on my toes they help me when I get things wrong all the time, because my dyslexic and neurospicy ADHD brain often reverses things or gets names wrong. And I like having the help from people that are nicely correcting me and not being mean about it.
You know what's great about this too, now that I just looked back at the episode as I was listening to you, it's funny at this moment, again, to think about humans and what they've done and the way the writers have put this together, right? This piece, right, this whole segment here of like finding these ancient sun warriors, right? These are the ones who hold the secret to the way that the world used to be, right? Like this is the true essence of firebending. And who do they come in contact with, right? They see the great dragons, who they thought were extinct because firebending masters used to go and try to hunt them down to show their prowess, right?
And again, that comes from Ozai.
Yeah.
It comes from his father, but still,
yeah.
that's where all of the negative aspects of the Fire Nation stem from the people who they want the villains to be, which is great. And it's Fire Lord Azulon and Fire Lord Sozin and Fire Lord Ozai, which is our current Fire Lord.
Yeah, that's the thing. I just really love the way in which they put this together. And again, from a non, anthropocentric perspective, right? From a more holistic or ecocentric perspective, I
don't think you could be mean, Gnomon Guardian. I don't think you have a mean bone in your little gnome body.
And I think that's the coolest thing about this segment, right? What is it? You guys remind me here, and I'm going to forget. Thom, you may know it, but if not, I'm sure someone will remember us. Besides the two dragons, or the dragons, right? You have the badger moles, and we have the air bison, and then who developed waterbending?
It's a great question. Off the top of my head, I don't recall which animal taught them waterbending.
Yeah.
They showcase the penguins a lot, but we never see the penguins teaching or using waterbending in any way. Where like the air bisons fly, the dragons blow fire, the banjo-moes literally bend earth in front of us. But I don't remember the animal that taught the waterbenders.
Well, the lion turtles give the power to everybody, right?
Well, they did in the ancient times. That's where they got it back then. It probably was the lion turtle then, because the lion turtles are fish. They're the two fish were the moon and the ocean spirits, though. They weren't animals like the animals here. And also, strangely, only fish. They were just fish. They weren't like fish lizards or fish birds. They were just koi fish.
They were koi. Yeah. They were just koi.
I love often I may be a little bit biased about the Chinese myth dragon depiction of dragons, but that is the depiction we got here, which is also the depiction, as I was showing, that Robert Jordan took from influence from for his depiction of the dragons in the Wheel of Time.
So I think but there's a difference here, right? Is it the...
They do say that. They say they learned from watching the tides, but I actually just Googled it. The descendants of people living atop the water lion turtles eventually learned to waterbend, but it doesn't say, and it says they observed by watching the moon push and pull the tides. So I guess that is, they didn't learn from a specific animal, which is kind of weird. It's kind of a weird hole to have in the lore. That's the only hole I found in their lore so far.
Yeah, I'm sorry for bringing it up. I didn't think I was going to do that.
No, that's cool. It's an interesting. Oh, anyone that watched Dragon Ball Z should get that last part when Zuko and Aang did the little thing and they touched fists together. That was 100% a reference. They said it a reference to the fusion dance from Dragon Ball Z.
And they're gone.
We also are getting all of these colors that are in the fire. So what that says, so like since we've seen all the different forms of bending, all the different forms of bending have like a higher level of bending when you become enlightened or a master or whatever you want in that form. So seeing all these different colors like denotes that there may be higher tiers of fire bending that just no one has gotten to yet. Azula obviously gets the anger one, I'm guessing, which is associated with the blue flame, but I wonder what the others mean and and if we'll ever see anything with that.
Don't they also say that the people who can use lightning are people who can truly know themselves and can calm themselves? And yet the funny part is when you meet the original benders, who are these dragons, there's no lightning.
That's true. Yeah, they're not doing any lightning bending at all.
Zero.
But the other thing that I wanted to bring up is the dancing that they're doing here. I was just closing my tabs, which is I usually do so that I can keep track of them as we go through the episode. But the movements that they do for firebending usually are like a more modern kung fu or Shaolin boxing type style. The one that they use here is like a really ancient form of, it's called, again, I'm going to butcher the pronunciation of this, and I'm sorry, Long Ming Mu Kui, which is Long Ming, Long Ying, which is obvious to spell, but then Mokui, which if anyone has watched like old school kung fu movies, there was a lot of old school kung fu movies that used to use this in their thing, and that's because it's like a really ancient form of kung fu that has almost very little writing about it, because it's only passed down by word of mouth, and the earliest telling they have of it is like the year 300 or something like that. And it's usually called Southern Dragon Kung Fu, which is what I said in Chinese translates to English. Southern Dragon Kung Fu. Mm-hmm. So that's the style that they were doing with the Sun Warriors. That's what their firebending is based on. What bending would be water bending? Well, since technically alcohol is mostly water, it would probably be a form of water bending. We know Katara does some soup bending in an earlier episode when she bends soup into Appa's mouth.
Who's the one who does? Who's the drunken dude in Mortal Kombat? Bo Raicho. That's who it is. There's a character in Mortal Kombat named Bo Raicho, and I'm pretty sure he does.
So real quick, I'm stopping the watch party. So if anyone's watching along, you'll see the watch party is paused, and I'm closing it out so that it doesn't continue to play on my end. If you guys want to keep watching it, by all means, go ahead. Anyway, my last Mortal Kombat that I played was, I think, Mortal Kombat Trilogy on the original PlayStation. I think that was the last Mortal Kombat I played.
Holy crap.
Yeah.
Actually,
which only had like the original 2 or 3 games characters in it.
But honestly, it was safer back then. It was so simple, basic, nice. Even the crazy fatalities were like, I'm like, it's still a video game. The new ones, I stupidly bought the newest one, and I was, I mean,
watching you play like a new game, like just picturing that in my head is fun. When I think Drunken Master, the only thing I think of is Wong Fei Hung, and Jackie Chan's Legend of the Drunken Master is easily my favorite depiction of any Drunken Master in any kung fu movie. I grew up watching old school kung fu movies. There was a theater that was not far from my house. It took me like an hour by bus to get there, but it was only like 10 minutes, like driving normally. And a couple of my friends used to go all the time and watch the kung fu movies when they would play them there. And I think Jackie Chan's old. Like, he was like, I think in his 30s when this came out. It was like 1975 or 1974 or something like that when the first Drunken Master came out.
How old is he? Is he like 70 now?
Yeah, he might be. He's in his mid 70s, I think.
Really?
Oh, my timer for our show stopped. That's what that is. What? Another student here talking about Roger Williams. Thank you for hanging out with us, Laura.
Wait, who was it? Was it Laura?
Laura? Yeah, Laura. Not Lura, that's our other friend who's also in chat, but Laura. Yeah, there you go. Jackie Chan is 70. We had a Mortal Kombat 1 machine in a pizza place around the corner from my house where I grew up. and I lived there because like one of my uncles worked there. So my mom would often, which is probably bad parenting now that I think about it, but both of my parents had to work because I grew up poor as fuck. Oh, Lura was you too? Okay, well, I'm still calling you Lura then.
Oh.
Both of my parents used to work, and in between when my dad would get home and my mom, or when my mom would get home and my dad would go to work, they would sometimes drop me off at either my uncle's deli, and I would work at the deli at like 5 or 6, which was probably bad because I remember selling cigarettes there. My uncle taught me how to use the cash register. People would come in and ask for cigarettes, and I would hand them cigarettes and cash them out, which was probably illegal. Or they would leave me in the pizza place, and I would play Mortal Kombat and eat pizza all day, which is kind of why I'm fluffy now.
Mortal Kombat was always in pizza places. That's pretty funny.
Yeah. It was that and the old school Dungeon game. You remember that game?
Dungeon.
Yeah, it was more like a choose your own adventure story game. It was old. Like you kind of just go through a dungeon and
with
you pick
Dirk
left
the
or
Daring?
right. Yeah.
Was it that dude Dirk the Daring?
Yeah.
It was a cartoon.
Yeah, it was cartoony. And it wasn't like a game that you played like and moved around. It was more like a choose your own adventure. You chose like the paths to go down and stuff.
I remember, oh my God, that was one of my favorite games. I
used to play the shit out of that.
Well, I never played it I never got very far because like every time you'd get to a certain spot, I'd end up getting somebody would, run over me the horse would run over me or whatever.
Yeah.
I want more, but you never actually did very much.
No, it was like I said, it was like a choose your own adventure game. It wasn't like an action game where you move the character around.
Son of a gun, they really got me, man. That game. But I liked the Mortal Kombat. I played it for a long time, and I remember when we'd go into an arcade and you'd want next, and so you'd have to take your quarter and put it on the side of the game. And
yep. And now you have the cards that you scan in, which will probably go out of style soon too. There's an old school arcade by where we used to live that has, it's called Play It Again, I think, or maybe I don't know. I might be confusing that with something else, but it doesn't matter. Where you can you get like 2 or 3 hours, and it's like $10, and you could just play video games all day. It was a ton of
There was a place in San Jose that I used to hang out at when I was visiting my cousins, and it was called Nickel City. It was awesome. They give you a bag of like tons of nickels, and then you just go and
Replay. There we go. I almost had it right.
Oh, it's called Replay.
Yeah, the place, it has all old school. It has a whole section. I was never big into pinball, but it has a whole section of like 1 million pinball machines, like with all the different, with like really old pinball games.
I just went back to the YouTube thing to see all the comments about we used to have we used to have one in my place too.
You could see the comments in here too if you click on the right hand side where it says comments.
Thom, you're making fun of me here, and I
am. Well, it's only because of your Ludditeness of how disconnected you are from the computer.
The best is I'm legitimately this entire time in the public chat and going back and forth to see.
That's hilarious. So speaking of how much of a Luddite you are, I'm going to post a link to your website that has links to, your academic books. So if people have enjoyed your ramblings on things here, you actually are a doctor. I'm calling you Dr. Donabed here the entire time, but you do have a PhD in things, and you do teach legitimate history and things. The use of the Wheel of Time and Lord of the Rings in your classes is because retelling of myth and story is paramount to culture, and that's what we do. So do you want to give like a little pitch on on what your focus is in history and how you use your the Wheel of Time and Lord of the Rings in the classroom?
Yeah, sure. So I do mostly so my focus area has been near I just read Thatcher's comment near and Middle Eastern civilizations, right? So and of that entire area, which is quite broad, I really was focused mostly on Assyrian history and culture. And so what I did was I recognized partly why I went into animal studies as well and went and got another degree, not entirely, but I started noticing that the way in which certain groups were being treated in the actual retelling of history, so like in the historiographical approach, a lot of the stuff just wasn't there. I'd be reading about stuff and I'd say, I thought there was more that should have been mentioned about this particular community. It seems strange. Why am I not reading it in like a mainstream history book?
Yeah.
So I started thinking about that. And at the same time, to be honest, I just loved mythology, all kinds of mythology. And I love all kinds of fantasy. And so I said to myself, well, what's a way that I can sort of marry all these things together? So, the first time I taught this class, I said, all right, I'm going to teach a class called Myth. I think it was called Myth and Historical Memory. And I started with Gilgamesh and I ended with, I want to say maybe it was it Ray Feist? I ended with some modern fantasy author. And the students loved it, but we probably read like 6 books. And then the next time I taught
that's the first half of the Wheel of Time.
Yeah, pretty much. And then the second time I taught it, we read like, I don't know, 8 books. And the last 3 books my students read after they read Joseph Campbell, they read Gilgamesh and Campbell and, Patrick Curry. And then the last 3 books of the actual semester were Ray Feist Magician.
Magician was great.
Yeah, Ray Feist Magician. Damn it. Oh, Rothfuss's Name of the Wind.
Yeah.
And then Jordan's Wheel of Time. And I mean, you take those 3 books, this one's not so long, Magician Apprentice, but that's what, 400 pages, 500 pages, something like that. Mm-hmm. But the other 2, what is it called? Name of the Wind and Eye of the World. I mean, these are 1,000-page books, right? 800 to 1,000 pages. So they got those at the end of the semester, and I still actually 2 of them, Megan and Maya, sent me a message today about, can I actually show this? I should show it.
Yeah.
So they sent me a text. These are 2 of my students who graduated a bit before these students. Mm-hmm. And I'll tell them they should go on and watch this later, but they sent me this picture.
Real quick, because it's sappy. The Lura, I'm still going to call you Lura, by the way, is getting a little sappy with you here. But also, I love to see that you play D&D as well. We also play D&D here, and I'm going to talk about that in a minute. But I thought it would be nice to show
Laura,
you their little sappy message about you.
Oh my God. Thank you, Laura. That's very kind of you to say that. I don't want to get in the middle of anyone's D&D game. And Thatcher, yes, we did. Oh my God, we did all those classes. But that's what was sent to me. Can you see that?
It says Eye of the World for people that can't see.
Yeah, so it's the Eye of the World book, but it's the UK version because one of my former students who's
so
now
nice. Some of those other cover arts are so nice.
Yeah, so I mean, so this was a student who's currently in Ireland, and they have the UK cover there. So she sent me this and said, hey, isn't this cool? And this all just happened today. Maybe that's how I remembered I was supposed to be on tonight.
I'll take it. I'll take that. That's fine. If you want to associate me and Dragonmount with Eye of the World, I'll always take that.
I think that only makes logical sense at this point. Yeah.
That's fine.
And plus I've been trying to watch certain things with my actual children. So
yeah, Avatar's a great one. Have they seen Avatar? Oh yeah, obviously they have.
Oh, when they said Appa, and then my son said Momo.
Before we came on air, I had to coach Sargon through, or Professor Donabed for his students, on how to use the our watch party feature and stuff. I wanted to make sure it all worked for him. And his daughter came on and she was like Appa in the back, so that I just remembered that as I was. But
and one said, she says,
it's a great show to watch with them. One, because it's so freaking entertaining. Like as an adult watching it, the writing is it's beautiful. Like it's perfect. There was another author that has been a guest on our show. She was a guest when we did book 2 for Avatar season 2. She had never watched Avatar. She had, and she doesn't like anime or animated television shows. So I told her that I do this thing, and she was like, oh, I do an episode of that. What show are you doing next? And I told her Avatar, and she was like, oh, I don't watch animated shows. And I was like, oh boy, listen, you're an author. please, just for me, because we're, like I've been pretty friendly with her. I've only, I've hung out with her a handful of times at JordanCon and we communicate online. But I would say, as a favor to me as your friend, please just watch this show. Like, it's such a rich story. I wish everyone would watch it, but also it's like a master class in writing because of the way of what they fit into essentially what boils down to less than 10 hours of television. So much, like so much. And it's done so well. One of the things that they do really well that we didn't touch on at all in this episode is taking a character with a disability, Thom, and making their entire storyline have nothing to do with their disability. Usually when a character is in a TV show like this, they're either trying to cure their disability or their entire story arc, the character story arc, will be about their disability. And that has nothing to do with Thom. Thom has nothing to do with that. And in fact, they also give us a way on how including that character and that character's disability in humor and comedy can be done in a non-toxic, gross way. They make jokes and comments about Thom being blind all the time, but it's never punching down in a sense. It's always done in like a way that she is part of the telling of that joke, and it's never done at her. And they do it so well. I love the fact that it never like in the least affects her at all, right? Like it never touches her. The only time it touches her is a reminder of how her parents treat her, right? Because she's blind, right? And with the exception of her parents, and they frame that the showrunners and the writers frame that in a way that's negative. I think
exactly, yeah. They're the ones who cause her to be not her full self, right?
Herself, and she gets to be her true self with Aang in the group, which is great.
Exactly. Yeah.
Hold on, you got another sappy comment from Elle in chat.
Oh,
you're such a good person.
Thanks, guys. I just to make you laugh, all of a sudden I looked at the bottom, I was like, oh, I can join the chat and say thank you so much, and I clicked join the chat and it's like, please sign into YouTube. I'm like, geez, I gotta remember that now too. Get out of here.
It links us to our YouTube chats, so for chatting purposes, but you could just talk directly to the people here. You could read it and then talk.
So that's, to go back to that question that you asked, so that's how I did it. And I most of my academic writing is on Assyrians, I started co-founded the Assyrian Studies Association, which is an academic association for folks who work on Assyrians. So it's really cool. I do a lot with that.
But Assyrian culture and Assyrian tradition and lore and Middle Eastern tradition and lore permeates a lot of culture and things that we've seen and read. So it's like, I'm interested, like you've written some fantasy stuff. And if anyone that's gone to JordanCon, last year's anthology, you have a story in, so, which is still for sale on the JordanCon website. Erin, if she's listening to me right now, we'll post a link in chat to the JordanCon website. And I think you could find through the JordanCon website links to how to get that book still. But I want to pick up some of your academic books to read too. Yes, we're going to do the interview with him too. So that's what I was just about to get to. So
wait, what?
See, this is where I purposely didn't bring this up because when I talked to Sargon earlier today, I realized he probably didn't read the entire email about the Avatar episode, but that's fine. It's just interview questions. So one of the things that we started doing on this show was I realized kind of that like when we would have guests, we wouldn't really do any kind of focus on them. We would hang out. I would pimp some of their stuff if they had a book or, if they're a content creator, we would share their channels and talk about what they're doing. But we didn't really get into them. We didn't do any kind of interviews with them. So when I started thinking about it, one of my favorite shows as a kid was Inside the Actor Studio. Do you remember that show?
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that show. So at the end of Inside the Actor Studio, James Lipton would always ask the same set of 10 questions to every actor that he had on the show. Some of them are, they're all great questions, especially for the actors, but I wanted to make them more, nerdy themed for us. And then the final question that he had, which I'll talk about when we get to it, I changed completely, but it's still in the same vein. So it's more fun now because you didn't have any time to think about them. So I'm going to put you on the spot, but
Ugh.
it'll be fun. There's no right or wrong answers here. This is just about who you are. So whatever you think, whatever your first thoughts are, you say, and that's fine.
Which
I'll
tell
give
my
you,
students not to say, right? Don't just say the first crap that comes to your head.
no, but this is all about feeling. This isn't like, I'm not giving you trivia questions. With that said, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to suggest everyone freaking go and watch Inside the Actor Studio, and I'm just really kind of stalling for time as I pull up the email that has the questions in it in the correct order that I have. Okay, so again, the first 4 are taken right from James Lipton, and then the others I kind of changed a bit. So, and they're pretty simple-ish. All right. So Sargon, what is your favorite word?
Hope.
That's a great answer. And just to tie that back to Avatar, there was an episode when Aang helps a couple where the woman is pregnant across into the Earth Nation, and it's at a time when he has lost hope because Appa is missing, and they decide to name their child Hope because Aang instilled in them a hope that he'll fix things and life would be better. So, and that in turn gives him hope. So, it's a great.
It's funny when you said that. One of the 2 things, I have to just say this because otherwise I'll laugh about it later.
Yeah.
Hope was the thing that kind of welled up. The first thing that popped in my head was Stan Lee saying Excelsior. And then it was funny because the other part of my brain was thinking of like the modern Assyrian word for like mercy, kindness, loving kindness, like in the sense of like Buddhist loving kindness. And there's a word where you also get an old word for friend from as well. Mrahmanutha, and it has all of those pieces to it, and it's kind of like embedded in a sense of something larger than yourself, which is what hope is too. But anyways, yeah.
Well, thank you for sharing that. A little bit of is that an Assyrian
modern
language?
Assyrian word? Yeah, it's modern.
Okay, that's awesome.
Word, yeah.
Cool. All right, and on that same journey, what is your least favorite word?
Ugh. I have no idea what to say. Okay, I'm going to just be funny with this in my mind and say yuck.
Okay.
And the reason I'm going to say yuck is that just the other day, my daughter said, "Don't yuck somebody's yum."
I mean, there's a lot of meaning behind that, and that's and I love that she said that, especially at her age. Like, that's such a great thing, and I try to convey that when we talk about it so often, like, because we talk about the Wheel of Time TV show a lot, and like we were just talking about the Acolyte show a lot. I don't like when people make definitive statements about things that is opinion oriented. Like, I don't like the show. That's fine. Don't like the show. I don't like when people say the show is bad.
Sure.
Things like that. And that falls into don't yuck someone else's yum. Like, obviously there's real things that are bad and you can have opinions and say that they're bad. But when it comes to something like a TV show, you don't want to alienate people and gatekeep just because you don't like something. But yes, your daughter is a genius, and that is a great word.
Yeah, no, yeah. And yuck is I guess it's the essence of the yuck, right? I mean, like, it's the idea that oh God, there's a really great, I'm reading Fablehaven to my children, and Fablehaven, if you guys have ever read, if you've read Fablehaven, awesome. If you haven't, Brandon Mull's the writer for Fablehaven. And in the second book, I want to say, they introduce a potion master, and his name is Tanu. And Tanu says, basically, he teaches them about potions, and all his potions are based on emotions. He like distills emotions. And at the end of they both try a negative emotion. One tries fear, one tries shame. They're like, wow, that was so real. It made me feel, terrified or whatever. And Tanu looks at them and says, it makes you wonder, did you really have a bad day, or did you just think it was a bad day? And I was like, so much of it is in how you react, right? It's, the yuck and the yum. I mean, the yum is there, and you can feel yuck for that yum, but it's somebody's yum, right? It can be a yum.
Exactly.
It should be a yum. Hell, everything should be a yum.
Yeah.
Anyways.
The looking for that's why, like, I gain so much enjoyment from things, even things that people would label as relatively bad, like even TV shows and movies and stuff. It's just because I look for the things that I like in them. It's easy to find things you don't like and stuff, and you can legitimately criticize things about things, but when people just get hateful about it and toxic is the part that I don't like. So I totally agree. It's a great word. All right,
done, right? That's 10 questions.
Yeah, that was 10 right there. What is an everyday sound that you like?
An everyday sound that I really like. I'd love to say that it would be my kitties purring. That would be a really obvious one.
Yeah.
But a really cool one is there's a big sycamore tree in front of our house, and it's got a hole directly across from our window, and there's this really cute chattering of squirrels every year between spring and summer, and there's always a new family with a couple of babies in there, and just the little
animal sounds.
Yeah,
it is nice. Nature.
Yeah,
I love it. And then what is a sound that you don't like? That goes right along with yuck in a different form.
Yeah.
Okay, so now
I'm not a fan of puking. Not that necessarily everyone or anyone is, but yeah.
Are you one of those people that if someone else does it, you do it?
No, because I've had to
You have kids, so you don't really have that option.
Yeah,
I know. I understand. I don't understand because I don't have them, but I understand.
Yeah, so you have to you build up certain immunities, I guess, to an extent, but I never liked yakking.
Yeah, no, it's never fun. Don't drink, kids.
Yeah.
Okay, so now these next questions are all in the vein of fiction. So you can base your answer on any fiction you want.
Okay.
Movie, television, video games, anything. Books, comic books, anything you want.
Okay.
Or mythology, whatever. It's not supposed to just be actual people that we know and have met. And the first two questions aren't specifically for you. They're just in general. And then the third one will be for you. So real quick, who would make a good partner or spouse? And again, fictional character.
Ooh. How do you define good? What are we looking at? Contextualized
Whatever,
good.
However you want to take the answer to that is how it is. There's no right or wrong answer. This is just your opinion.
Well, one of the characters that popped into my mind right away was Pug's wife, Miranda, in the Ray Fice series.
Magician.
Yeah, in the entire Rift War, like she makes her debut. I want to say Shadow of a Dark Queen in the second, in the Serpent War, maybe.
And why? What is it about that character?
Well, she's spoiler. Can I give a spoiler here?
I mean, it's an old book, so yeah.
Yeah. To me, I thought, and this is a personal thing. I mean, to me, so you come to find out she's the daughter of one of the greatest sorcerers ever to live. So she's one of the greatest sorcerers to ever live. She's tough, no nonsense, powerful, but has this really amazing way of helping, even though she she's a little frustrated with her dad, but she has this really amazing way of like helping the world around her. So much so that, I mean, she has, I don't know, I don't want to say like the softer side of Sears. But there is that piece of her that I find to be really endearing. She's a little overly brazen and runs headfirst into things, but you know, I don't know if I'm saying that's somebody that I'd look for, or if I'm actually making myself Pug and looking at the world through Pug's eyes.
That's fair.
The main character, yeah.
It's an interesting answer, though. So, okay, and then in the same vein, not necessarily for you, but you know, who would be the worst spouse or partner?
The worst spouse. Ooh, that's a good one. We got
a lot of answers in chat for good. Lan, Merry, Pippin, and Aowen. Though I do agree with Aaron. I think Pippin would be kind of bad. You would not have a good time. You would be having to clean up a lot of messes. Though that may be fun.
I mean, all right, so you guys are just throwing out all sorts of random stuff from old Toby. I mean, Denethor must.
Oh God!
Be awful.
Damn it! Now all I'm seeing is him eating those damn tomatoes from the movie.
Or the tomatoes, yeah.
Oh my God! Tomatoes. Or grapes or whatever they were. It's horrible. Yeah. I mean, if for no other reason than you'd have to watch him eat, I would never want to be married to that man.
Yeah, I can't. I mean, and the fact that when he loses his mind, he throws it all on his youngest,
on his son. Yeah, that's he's such a terrible person. Yeah, no, that's a great answer.
Yeah, he's a rough one. At least those are the things that are coming to mind. But
I mean, he's a narcissist. He's egotistical. Like, that's a great answer.
And I will agree with Elle as well. Like the Anakin, like as in what's his face, Anakin Hayden Christensen, when he goes to the dark side really quickly in the last movie, it's like even when he's not fully dark, like the way he handles his relationship with Padme isn't the greatest. So yeah. All right, so now this one is for you. A character, it could be any point, doesn't have to be right now, but a character that you had a crush on. A character like in a TV show or
anything,
book or
anything, whatever comes to mind.
Character I had a crush on. Romantic crush?
However you want to take it.
That's a good question. So I would say that I don't know. I feel like you're asking me like what animal would I like?
I know.
Yeah. Well, I always had a desire to be as much. Again, I'm going to go Feist and say Thomas, his sort of childhood friend Thomas, who doesn't have any magic, but then like puts on dragon armor and becomes like one of the most ancient, powerful beings, in the universe. Because he's just a good kid, and then he deals with some pretty tough stuff.
So I'd like to hang out with him, be his friend.
Yeah, I think like, but I would, kind of like, I think I would get him, but also like kind of fanboy over him as well.
Okay.
So I think that would be pretty cool. But
is he like? So I haven't read that series, but like, is because you said he was a kid. So is it like? Does he put on the armor and like kind of like the old school comics way? He becomes like a thing.
So it seeps into him, like the essence of of a guy.
So similar to Thor, then, like the kid picks up the hammer and he has the power of Thor. And
kind of, yeah. So there, it's him and Pug, who's the other, the main character would be, I mentioned Miranda.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would. I mean, that would be one, but I'm also, okay, so this was one way back was the crush that I had for a long time was the character of oh God, but I don't know if it was the character or the person. Am I supposed to say the character or the person?
Whatever you want. This is your answer. There's no right or wrong answer.
I also fanboyed for a while over Charisma Carpenter because I loved
Buffy.
Buffy.
Yeah.
and she was, and I remember I met her at like some sort of a
That's awesome.
fan expo or something one time, and I went to get something signed, and my wife was with me, and I'm usually not at a loss of words for any, or even would I stop and just kind of like go and I walked up to her and went, "Hi."
Was your wife with you when that happened?
Yeah, and she goes,
talk for you.
Afterwards, my wife looks at me and goes, "I have never seen you at a complete loss of words the way you were."
Hey, listen, I get it.
Yeah,
and that's a recent picture of her.
I mean, well, you could also throw up a picture of Alyssa Milano and Charmed, and that would be
It's true.
one.
It's true. Yeah. It's true. I loved Alyssa Milano and Charmed, but I very soon broke that off and moved to oh shit, I can't remember Rose McGowan's name now.
Wait, hold on. Paige.
Yeah. I liked Rose McGowan a lot. I still like Rose McGowan a lot. I mean, she hasn't done a lot in a long time, but no, I always liked her a lot. Okay, so next question. If you had the opportunity to assume a job or a vocation from fantasy, so say like a Jedi, or join the Earthbending Nation army, or an Auror from the series that shall not be named, whatever, like a job from a series, what would you want to do, like be or do?
A job from a series,
like, or a group to belong to, or something like that. There's the Aes Sedai and the Wheel of Time, and the Jedi and Star Wars, and the group in Stargate. I forgot what they're called.
The Goa'uld.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, that's a good one. So but it's not actually a job. I mean,
it doesn't have to be a job, just a group with a title and a name and a purpose.
Well, one of the four ancient races, or the four races that like start the Stargate universe, one of them is a group called the Ancients. Mm-hmm. And there's a splinter group called the Ori who come back like the last couple of seasons and lose it on everybody. I think that would be kind of cool. The Ancients are pretty cool because they can assume like a higher level of existence at some point.
So you could be enlightened.
But Thom, let's be honest. I mean, if you're gonna pick one, you got to go like, I'd be a Q from the Q continuum.
That you're the second person to say that.
Like if we're going like total power here, we're going Q.
That's it. However you want to take the question, this is your answer.
Oh man, I mean, it's so hard. That's such a hard.
It's so hard. Yeah, I know.
Yeah, no Q. I mean, a Q from the Q continuum. I mean, you could say like I don't know, an Asgardian. I don't know.
Okay, all right, cool.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
See, I love the Rohirrim. Jedi, I love the Jedi. The Hobbits, I love them, but they're not going very far, man. They get their 111 years and 1121 years, and that's it.
Yeah, sure. Why not? Like they're a specific group, and it's not just like a king and a queen of a random nation. Say, like that's a whole realm of existence that they're the queens of. It's more than just like a royal family or something like that.
Yeah, I do. I like Laura's too. Right, Queen of Narnia would be.
If for no other reason than you get to chill with Aslan, and he's an awesome. He's a giant lion, so that's fun.
Well, I will say, if I have to plug Erickson's work, if I could be an ascended being, that might be kind of cool, because they both they're kind of like gods, but I think they're called, well, the original ascended beings, I guess, would be like the Azatani. I think they're Azatani, if you pronounce it.
I didn't go that deep into Narnia.
I mean, I don't know. This is a great question. Now I'm going to have to think of all this.
That's why I sent it to you in an email.
Yeah, but no, I'm glad that you're asking me, because now I can think of all these really cool things. I mean, on a totally different note, when I'm done with this, I got to go close in the local animal shelter. So I could say like a volunteer animal shelter worker.
There you go. That's fine. Hey, listen, a volunteer animal shelter worker is a lot more than you can think about if you think about it in like the Avatar world, because you never know. Freaking come in there. Could get a sea lion turtle. You could get a platypus bear. Who knows? Okay. So then again, in the same vein, and I'll give a contextual example of this for you, but like, what is a job or a vocation or a group that you would never want to belong to? So like, you know, the people who clean up after the Avengers, or the guys that had to clean the battlefield after the Battle of Five Armies and The Hobbit.
Yeah, this is going on YouTube, so I have to remember that I got to be careful what I say.
It's going live. It's currently on YouTube.
There's a great response by Chris Rock in the movie Head of State.
Oh God, I love that movie. Sorry.
At the beginning of
reference.
Where they ask him when they see the picture of Abraham Lincoln, you know, at the Lincoln Memorial, and then he goes, "What do you see when you look at that?" And he goes, "I see the guy who cleans Lincoln's blah for, you know, minimum wage."
Yep.
There is that. I mean, it must suck to be the guy who at like those crappy carnivals who go to weird places in the middle of nowhere, and you got to be the dude who cleans up the puke. That suck.
Yeah. So,
or porta potties. That must not be great. I'm thinking of like, what's his face? Mike Rowe and Dirty Jobs.
Mike Rowe and Dirty Jobs. Yeah. So like, you know, cleaning up after the what do they call them in Sidrit, because they have the elephant ride in Val and Luca's traveling show, but it's, you know, the Shanshan, and they call it the Sidrit or whatever. But and the Lopar too. So like, you know, having to clean up not only the puke from the people that wrote it, but, you know, the leavings of the elephant.
Yeah, not cool.
Okay, so now this the last question. So the James Lipton's original question was, when you die and when you get to the pearly gates, what do you want to ask St. Peter? But that's a little too one theology for me. So the way I changed that was, is there any specific portrayal of the afterlife or just what happens to you when you die from any fiction that you've ever taken in? Could be any fiction or any mythology other than, you know, our actual ones, that you would want to be true when that time came. What would you want it to be?
Well, it's tough. The first one I would connect with, I would say Tolkien's world, but Tolkien's is tough because, you know, for the elves, they get to go to Valinor, and you know where they are, and they get to see everybody again, right?
It would be nice if everyone got that.
Yeah, but the weird part is that, well, that's just elves, right? And some others.
That they invite.
And then humans, and it's weird because humans don't get to do that, but they get the gift of mankind, right? Like they have another gift.
Yeah.
And, you know, I don't know. I would love to say Valinor would be pretty cool. I would love to be able to, maybe the Hall of the Halls of Mandos that the folks go to, right? So that has always been fascinating. To go Feist, the halls of Lim's Cragma are basically like Sheol, which is neither happy nor sad. It's just sort of like a gray place. So like in ancient Mesopotamia, Sheol was just like it's just like this place. it would be like a purgatory
or a limbo.
You don't end up going anywhere, but you just kind of hang out there.
Yeah.
But where I always thought of purgatory as like a dentist office, whereas Sheol is more just like, I don't know. Maybe it is a dentist office. I don't know.
That's a good idea.
But yeah, I don't know. That's a great one. I mean, an easy one would be like, well, if I knew there was reincarnation, you know, that'd be great.
Well, I mean, there's a lot of reincarnation in fiction. Specifically, The Wheel of Time has a great version of that.
Yeah, Wheel of Time with the reincarnation is great, but then, you know, you could also get eliminated from the pattern. There's always a chance that
that's true.
Bale fired out of it. Yeah, I don't know of any other fantasy or fiction world that I can think of that would be, yeah, I mean, but it's funny you had the question of St. Peter, but even if I kind of play with that a little bit, but with also the question that you asked,
Yeah.
I guess at the end of it, you kind of just want to, I don't know. For me, I'd like to, if we're going to get sappy, be able to see, be able to see everybody again, right?
Yeah.
See the family and friends, and so whatever one gets me to that, if it's a Valinor type place, then sign me up for something like that. That'd be kind of cool.
Okay.
So, yeah, but I don't have an answer that I think would be or okay, fine. Let's have fun with this. One final piece of fun. Has anyone ever heard Tupac's song "Thug Mansion"?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
And Tupac is life.
So that song, like hanging out with Billie Holiday, right? Like that the way he portrays Thug Mansion,
yeah,
I think is really cool. So if let's think of Valinor with a side of Thug Mansion.
Okay, I like it. So Valinor from Lord of the Rings, but also Thug Mansion from Tupac. I love those two. I love that combination. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
That's a great either Discworld reference or Celtic fairy lore. Also, Knack Macfeagle.
It could, yeah.
That's that I like that too. I haven't read Discworld in so long. I need to go. I don't think I've ever read all the books, but I haven't read any of his books in a while. Pratchett is great. Thank you for answering those. And if this is not a lesson for anything else for everyone that's watching, it's read the whole email when someone sends you something. I'm fucking with you.
Wow, did you just throw that at me at 11:17 at night?
I'm joking with you. Okay, so shameless plugs before we go. There's supposedly across all our platforms 200 people watching. Yes, you could stab me with a lightsaber. I have toe. Sargon, I have toe. Make sure to go and give us a like and a follow. I do some streaming over on YouTube. I do some streaming over on Twitch as well. Intermittently, I play games, and we do this on Mondays. But also, we do some pre-recorded content. Not just me, but Kitty and Ebony and now Crystal. Dragonmount.com has a lot of articles. And since Tor is our sponsor, they've lately been sending me books. And I did a book recently, which you could find by Jennifer Thorne over on our YouTube channel. But coming out in the next week or so is this book, which is The West Passage by Jared Pekacek. I have a better image of this book. There you go. The cover art's amazing. This book, I interviewed him, and our interview with him should be coming out on our YouTube channel in the next week or so after the book is released. But I asked him in the interview if my description of the book would be right, because I was trying to describe it to Erin while I was reading it. And I said it was like Guillermo del Toro directed Fern Gully with a little bit of like cosmic horror or like Lovecraftian vibes at the same time. That's what this book was.
Wow.
It was one of, and I said this to him as well, Jared, who's an awesome dude. He was a lot of fun. Your book is one of the weirdest books I've read in a long time, but I mean that in an absolutely complimentary way. Like, it was so freaking weird, but it was great.
Oh, that's awesome.
One of another author that I've had on as a guest, who's another great person. Her name is Jen Lyons. She wrote a great series also on by Tor, which is what this is his debut book, by the way, for Tor. Jared Pekacek. She said that book is so Jared, I'm not even sure he knows it. Was what she said to me when I told her I was reading it, because she's friends with him. So yeah. Great book. And again, the YouTube video will be coming out soon. Go check that out. If you follow us on Twitter and all of the social medias, you'll see soon we're going to be posting our what should we watch next for these rewatch things that we do. And also we have a Discord, and we're going to be doing a lot of stuff in the Discord as well. things like, pre-show hangouts with guests when I do live interviews, and when I do stuff like this, we're going to start doing that. We're going to be upping our stuff for Patreon soon. Namely, for those of us who like to play video games, games that have like where you host your own servers for, such as like Minecraft and things like that. We're going to be hosting Dragonmount game servers because I like to play those games,
Wow.
but I don't like toxic players. And usually when you play like Minecraft or Rust or, games where you have building, you have like shitty people that like to come and destroy things. So we're going to be hosting Dragonmount game servers. And if you join our Patreon, even the lowest tier for $1 a month, we're going to be listing those in the next month or so, like the changes to that. You can join the Dragonmount game servers and play with us. All of the money for that will go to hosting the servers because we're going to be hosting servers for like 4 or 5 games when we launch that. And that costs money. But go check out the Dragonmount Discord and follow our social medias to see when we're doing that. Should be happening soon. And to find our new videos when we post them. Sargon, I would ask like what you're doing next, but obviously you'll be in class next. So like if you have Sargon as a teacher, if you're one of the many people here, give him a shout out in class and annoy him a little bit in my name, because that's what I would do if I was there. But are you doing any panels or anything soon? I know you just did BostonCon, right?
Yeah, I did Fan Expo Boston. We had a couple of Tolkien panels at Fan Expo Boston, which was great.
Do you have any other cons coming up?
I don't think so.
Just Jordan Con probably, right?
I'm trying to think. Like I haven't been invited specifically, but I applied to be part of a panel at MagicCon in October.
Okay.
In Vegas, which would be kind of cool. I've never been to a MagicCon before.
All right, that's awesome.
Magic the Gathering.
Yeah.
And then I always look forward to JordanCon after JordanCon. I will not be going to DragonCon. I would love to go back one of these years, but I used to do the Comics and Popular Arts Conference too, which was at the same time. And I sent Thatcher to you guys. I didn't.
Yeah, he's here now with us, so we get to we get to hang out with him. I hope we see more of you, Thatcher. I like your brain.
Yeah, Thatcher was great. I haven't seen Thatcher in a little while, so it's good to virtually see random words popping up with Thatcher's name next to it.
And if you're interested and still want to hang out with us more, next week we're going to have someone you may recognize, actually, Sargon. I'm not sure if you met her at DragonCon or not. She was definitely at DragonCon. Where's my thing? I put it here. There it is. Sorry, I was like, I made a thumbnail for our next video. It's going to be she's a professional cosplayer, artist, but also teacher, Katie Redfield. If you look up Katie, I have her link in my stuff here. She has a TikTok, but she also has her Instagram. Just an amazing cosplayer. Like she's a huge Wheel of Time fan. She did Erin will post the link to her thing. I think it's like Redfield Studios or something like that. But I have some of her cosplays here. I want to show you guys. Specifically, she has a Gray Aes Sedai that she did. She did a book and TV show version of a Gray Aes Sedai that's just absolutely amazing.
Wow.
So that's a kind of that's the TV show. There it is. Okay. So her TV show, Gray Aes Sedai, absolutely amazing. She modeled it on the half a second image we get of a Grace sister in the when Moiraine kind of goes on trial before the Emerald Seat, and then her book version of a Gray Aes Sedai, and she's holding her shawl there in her hand, which is fantastic. But she makes everything entirely herself. She runs a couple of theater costuming for a few of her local theater stuff in Boston. She lives in the Boston area, actually. And she is a professional cosplayer. So those two costumes were some of her professional cosplay. This is another one that she did. She's just absolutely freaking fantastic. She also recently won a international cosplay tournament, Cosplay Worlds, up in Canada recently for a Warhammer 40,000 Space Marine costume that she did, which is absolutely fantastic. So we'll have all of those pictures, and there you go, Redfield Alternative Couture .com that Erin posted in chat. She's going to be our guest for next week, and obviously we'll be watching Avatar again, episodes 11 and 12 or 13 and 14, I think. I don't remember exactly because there's two-parters here. It's just episode 13, but it's 2 parts, Boiling Rock 1 and 2. So yeah, that's going to be a ton of fun, and Katie's always a blast when we have her on. So we'll see you guys next week, I guess. Say goodnight, Sargon.
Good night, everyone. Nice to see everyone or to hear from folks. And thanks, Thom. Always good to be here with you.
Bye.
Bye.